Welcome back. So we are on video number 2, kind of the series of my Perfect Grade Unleashed journey here. The first one was an unbox. So if you haven't seen it, I'll throw a link in the description. You can pop over, watch it, and then come back over here. So for this one, we're going to talk about basically from the time you start actually building to the end of phase, it's actually 2, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. I got some feedback that my voice levels were kind of low, so play with the level here. I also got some feedback that the time lapses were cool, which I love the time lapses, but some backing music would be pretty cool there. So we're going to go into the new and improved time lapse, and then I'll come back from that and we'll talk more about what this kit's like and what I've seen so far. Okay, let's talk Unleashed. So if you're not familiar with Unleashed, the first thing you notice is it's built in phases. If you look at the box, it tells you 5 phases. The front of the instructions has a nice color area that kind of tells you about the 5 phases. But when you get into the building, phase 1 and 2 are kind of lumped together. There's really not any kind of separation between them, and it's the frame. Phase 3 is trusses, phase 4 is armor, and then phase 5 is like weapons and miscellaneous other stuff. So the Gundam itself is really just 3 phases. But the phases are very cool. If you've done other Gundams, right, you know, you build like a leg and the armor, and it's just a complete leg. You build the other leg, armor, complete leg. You build the waist, attach the legs to the waist, and then you keep going that way. The Unleashed, each phase is like the whole Gundam. So when you finish up phase 2, you have this. And this is awesome. The pictures and video probably won't even do it justice. So you end up with the complete Gundam, just the framework. And as we go through the next phases, we'll add trusses, we'll add armor, and those kind of keep layering stuff on. So it's gonna be really cool. I could see this thing with a hanger and a few trusses, some armor pieces, some armor hanging, some ground crew. I can really think of an awesome way to display this thing. I mean, I'm gonna finish it, don't get me wrong, but I could totally see just this. And so let's talk about the kit for a little bit. The kit is huge, right? I mean, we're talking 73, 74 runners, a ton of, there's like 4 or 5 sheets, and the instructions are like 70 pages long, right? So this is not a small undertaking by any stretch. Now, I feel like they have done some things here to make the build experience good, right? I've often found, to me, like some of the Gundam kits seem like you're all over the place, like it's chaos, right? Like this arm needs a piece off of G2. Later, this leg will need G2. Later, the waist will need something off G2. And it feels like you never really complete a runner until toward the very end. With this kit, there are runners that are just dedicated to certain parts, to the point that there's symbols on the runner that's like, this is leg, this is waist, this is head. The instructions even have like a trash can and tell you you're done with C1. That's nice, right? Because that certainly makes it more where when it comes to runner management and keeping track of things, you get rid of a runner. It's done. You set it aside, you don't have to worry about it again. I like that. The instructions will even tell you like, hey, these are the runners you need for this section that are dedicated to this section, and then there's another section underneath that's like, here's the runners you're going to need that you're just going to take parts from. I like that. It, to me, gives more of a flow to the building process. You're not jumping all over the place for different runners. It just feels better. It's kind of hard to explain. The other kind of thing that I didn't really pay as much attention to as I should have, so I'm going to talk about it, is each runner, or a lot of the runners, are multiple runners. Show you an example here, right? Like here's a runner, L2 and L4. So this is actually 2 different runners. You just snap it in the middle. Now you got 2 different runners. There are a lot of runners in the kit like this. The instructions tell you at the part list, here's a runner, it's got dotted lines, shows you everything about it. I just didn't pay attention. And so I needed C1 and C2 for some work. I set C1 down and I go through my box. Cannot find C2. Just can't. I mean, I'm taking each runner out, setting it aside, and I'm completely confused by the fact I can't find C2. Look at the instructions. Well, sure enough, there's a dotted line. C1, grab it, C2, break it. Okay, I'm good. And then I thought, okay, now I know that's the case, I should be fine. The next time it happened, I almost did the same thing. And then I was like, wait a second, I know what's happening here. So I stopped at that point and did what I would recommend you do from the beginning. Just go through and snap all those things apart because it's just less confusing that way. The other thing I noticed with some of these is there's duplicate runners. And it shows in the instructions ×2 on the parts list page. But I ended up accidentally switching runners, if it makes sense. Like I had F2 and F2, and I cut pieces 1 and 2 off of this one, and then I set it aside. And then when I went to grab F2 again, I grabbed the full one, didn't really realize it, cut 3 and 4 out, set it aside. But then when I got to the point where I needed F2 and I needed 1 and 2 again, I grabbed the F2 that I had already cut 1 and 2 out of for a previous step. So I was completely confused. I mean, I will admit that I have cut wrong parts out of runners before, but not 2. And you can imagine with the Unleashed, I am really paying attention to what's going on here. So I was completely confused. Had to go back through my box, and sure enough, there are 2 F2s. And there are several there like that, where there's multiple runners. So another thing to kind of keep in mind. The other thing I'll talk about real quick is this sheet of metal stickers, because this is bizarre. So when you have it, there's a protective sheet that goes on top. There'll be a big metal sheet that's over here, and then a backing, and the backing is what the stickers actually stick to. You have to peel the metal, you get left with this, and the instructions tell you, be sure to hang on to this protective sheet. The instructions consider this to be the front of the sticker sheet. The numbers are written to where you can read it. What to me seems like the back, because I have to peel them off on this side. To me, that's the front of the stickers, right? I mean, every other sticker in the world, you peel it, the back of it is the sticky part. This is the opposite. When you peel it, the part facing you is the sticky part. That's why you have to keep a hold of this protective piece here, because if you don't put it back on, your stickers are going to get messed up. And it was weird because, of course, I have a certain way I like to grab stickers. I look at the part, make sure my tweezers aren't going to be in a weird spot. And so when I peeled it off and went to put it on, it was like, it doesn't fit. Hang on. And that's when I kind of like touched and was like, wait a second. The sticky part's on the side facing me. That is really bizarre, but okay. The other thing is the LEDs. First off, no batteries. That's annoying, but I'm sure I can find them somewhere. Second thing, you put this in at the end and it goes in the chest cavity here. Now, I don't know why they save it to the end, because you have to kind of take some things apart to get it in there. I would much rather have put this thing in as I was building it. And I get that some people don't want to use the LEDs. That's fine. But at some point, if you ever decided to, you have to find this thing. And if you're anything like me, if I set this thing down off by itself, in 2 weeks, it's going to be like it didn't even exist. It will just be gone. So that's something to think about. If you're building this, you might kind of step ahead to the end and take a look at how this thing goes in, because you might want to do it kind of as you're going. Just a thing there. As far as the overall kit goes, this thing is just awesome. I mean, the fit, the finish, the articulation on it, it is really, I've never experienced it. It is just so much fun. The parts, like, I mean, they really snap together. And it's not like you have to put a lot of pressure on it to snap together. They have a very solid click. Like my lady likes to do dollhouses and miniatures, and she sets, 8 or 10 feet over here doing her thing. And I'll be like, click, and I'm like, golly, that felt good, which may sound weird, but it does, right? It's like snap. Oh, golly, okay. And she'll be like, I heard that. And I'm like, well, okay, so I'm talking to myself. And she's like, no, I heard the snap from all the way over here. So they just have a really good snap. I really like it. The joints are very stiff, very stiff. It takes a little bit of work to get it in pose as you want. And I have a bad habit when I want to flex the knee, I put my finger here and I kind of push down these pistons and then it doesn't want to move. But I kind of feel like it kind of has to be stiff. This thing is kind of heavy, and I'm sure, right, as I add more stuff to it, it's just going to keep getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So I really feel like you need stiff joints to get it to where you can put it in any position you want and it will stay there. The one thing, I broke a piece, and it was like panic moment, right? And you're gonna laugh because you're gonna be like, really? So inside the wrist here is some pistons. I don't know if you can quite see it there. And they move similar to these pistons, right? As you flex things, right, the pistons move in and out. And it ended up where the little ball head that goes in the socket, it got pushed all the way in. So it wouldn't move, right? The other one was fine. It was ball, it would move. The other one got in there, just kind of jammed in. And so when I got it all together and I moved the wrist, it just snapped that piece. And of course, like, ah! So I put a little bit of modeling glue on that when I fixed it. I also came to realize that even in this form, those pistons are pretty well covered up. And I got a funny feeling by the time I get all the armor on, you're not even gonna be able to see them, which is a little annoying because they are pretty cool to have there. So I'm not sure why you would put it all there and then just cover it all up, but there you gotta have a reason for it. Anyway, so that is phase 1 and 2 done. I'll be working on phase 3 next. We'll see when phase 3 finishes up if it's kind of worthy of its own video or if I'll probably wait till the end of phase 4 and just do one that covers both of them. I don't know, I'm gonna have to play it by ear. But so far, loving it. Just an absolute blast to build. So be sure to leave me some comments and some feedback. I've been loving the feedback I've gotten so far. And as always, I'm looking for bigger and better ways to do things. So, thanks for watching.